What is happening? Welcome to the Plus Pitch Podcast, your morning pitching podcast from pitcherlist.com. My name is Nick Pollack. Today is June 30th. Happy Monday and 4-day week for most of you. Not for me. I'll be here on July 4th. Of course, there's baseball. I gotta do this stuff for you. But today, we're going to talk about Justin Rbolski and many others, and Robo Stumps for Justin Rbolski. Did I say Jake Rbolski? Justin Rbolski. 6 innings, 0 runs, 3 hits, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. If you don't know, his nickname on the Dodgers is Robo. And this was a game of the four-seamer doing well once again. It's not 97 to 98 as we've seen before. It was more like 95 to 96. But he did dot 99 at the knees once for a strikeout. It was really cool. It was 6 for 25 whiffs. It was good. The sinker was in the zone for 26% strikes. All this is good. The secondaries weren't great. I wouldn't say that I was leaping out of my seat being, oh man, that was an amazing slider, or that changeup, oh my gosh. But it's very interesting that the Dodgers are making him a follower consistently. And what that means is that he should get more wins. And that's cool. So if he would get, the Giants or the Astros, or just really if he gets like not an elite offense next, then I would be okay with Rbolski. I don't love that it would be the Astros, just because then he gets a lot of right-handers, and that four-seamer I don't think it performs as well against them. But I think that this is a good, solid win play. Not something that I'm super excited about just because of these secondaries lacking. And honestly, dealing with the Dodgers being the Dodgers, you don't really know when he's going to pitch and how long it's going to be for. So keep all that in mind. But if you're chasing for dubs, you can go for J-Dub. You have Dean Kramer as the Dean Werewolf. Once again, 7 innings, 0 runs, 3 hits, 1 walk, and 6 Ks. He might be upgrading out of that name, considering that he has been somewhat more consistent than 1 every 4 or 5 starts. He's still a 15-team hipster. You really don't know how he's going to attack things on a given night. And he'll get Atlanta and then the Mets next, which I don't want to go for. But if everything is set up right after the All-Star break, we don't know how teams are going to do that, and it's one of the most frustrating parts about the All-Star break. He would get Rocky Road, and obviously you'd want that for Dean Kramer. Tarek Skubal got a golden goal in Sunday Night Baseball, and the coolest thing was that he threw a changeup to start the game, and that is just fun. He also had 15 whiffs on that changeup throughout the game, and he killed it 7 innings, 0 runs, blah, blah, blah. He's SP number 1, and who cares? It's too good, and it's not interesting. You know, that's not the fun story. You don't want to see, just the hero always wins and stuff. That's not a fun story. You got to have the ups and downs, you know? You got to have the morally sunny gray. Okay, Matthew Liberatore against the Guardians. Got the win, 6 innings, 0 runs, 3 hits, 5 walks, 5 Ks. I think overall, it was not a really good start. He did throw enough pitches in the zone. The curve and the sinker were unreliable for him. There was a bit of Koufax getting to the finish line. There was a fastball that was fine. It's just not exciting. It's not one of those starters where I go, oh man, oh gosh, he was just so close with this thing over there and he just didn't get that. And there are all these times that this pitch looks so good and it was, but he got unlucky. This was just like, all right, yeah, you're throwing strikes at good times and things are getting out of jams. You have a good defense behind you, etc. Against a bad offense. Liberatore to me in the second half should fall off. He's doing enough to be stable. And really when you think about it, you have, I think about this constantly. You're going to have the 25% of starters bad. You have 25% of them that are like them at their best. And generally you have the 50% where it can go either way. And I think Liberatore is getting a little bit fortunate that a lot of those things are going his way as opposed to the other way. You have Framber Valdez against the Cubs. I'm giving him ace is going to ace because this was dominant. 6 innings, 0 runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, and 6 Ks. He had a ridiculous start before in Sacre Verde, which I understand, by the way. I got a comment about this. Sacre with the accent is French, and Verde is actually Spanish or Italian for green. Vert would be proper for French. But I think it's really fun to do that. I know Sacre Bleu is French, but understand that I wanted to have like 2 different languages in one, and also Sacre Verde just sounds nicer than me than Sacre Verte. So I wanted to do that. Okay, just roll with me. Anyway, Framber Valdez had his curveball being dominant again. He didn't have it in the last game against the Athletics. I believe it was his last game. Whenever I was like, whoa, are things weird? It was great here. He did this against the Cubs. You're treating him like an ace. He gets ace is going to ace. A lot of guys are getting that. We got Hunter Brown getting ace is going to ace. We got Brian Wu getting it back. Did Robbie Ray? No, Robbie Ray retained it. I believe, or maybe he has one more start to do it. He does say he has one more start to do it. And someone else actually believe gets aces against ace later in this podcast. Chad Patrick did well against Rocky Road, as he should. Kind of interesting to see that this cutter wasn't the big whiff pitch. He had 15 whiffs, but only 2 with the cutter. That was really sliders. All of a sudden had like 6 or 7 whiffs, I think it was. Not the greatest locations all the time, but those were effective. Trio of strikeouts with his 4-seamer as well. But it's a really bad lineup. He gets the Marlins and the Nationals, and I think that's fine. I think the cutter does better against right-handers, though, but maybe not. Maybe the Nationals, that should be fine, too. Ranger Suarez kind of looks like he should be getting aces against ace, and I might be tempted to give him something like that. I just think that Suarez has a higher chance of falling off in the second half than the other ones. But, I mean, this was Atlanta getting a win. 7 innings, 1 earned run, 4 hits, 1 walk, and 8 Ks, and that cutter was just so good lining the inside corner to right-handers. Oh, my gosh. Really weird to see him only with a 46% strike rate on his changeup, though. And so it's weird. He got through it regardless of that. And we just hope that the changeup feel continues. Justin Verlander had a good start, but it was against the White Sox. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 5 hits, 2 walks, and 3 Ks. No decision, though. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. 6 whiffs, 30% CSW on 88 pitches. We don't want to start this in Sacre Verde next because the fastball is not what we want it to be. It was a sub 51% on the dot strike pitch. Oh boy, that's not what we want. Also at 93 and change, not 95. And also lost 2 inches of vert to 17 and not at 19 inches of vert. The slider was really good. It was 71% strikes, had 3 strikeouts. And the curve was a solid strike pitch as well, around 65 to 70% strikes. So that's cool, but we need that fastball to be really the foundation, not those breaking balls. And yeah, you got to do better than that for me to feel good about going into Sacramento. Sacre Verde, okay. Jack Leiter had a great game against the Mariners in Texas. It is good to pitch in Texas. Eno and DVR, his chat was reminding me here, talked about it being a really good place to pitch as a pitcher. So Leiter did well here against the Mariners. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 7 hits, 0 walks, 7 Ks. But just saying it's the situation or whatever would be doing him a disservice because there are some things he did well here. There were the sliders and the curves to right-handers are very much over the plate. And then the 4-seamer to lefties was either middle up, but it was very much condensed and precise. That is more of a tight blob than it was a scatter shot, as we often see. And that's good. Jack Leiter throwing middle up 4-seamers is what he wants. I wish he just takes the whole blob and moves it, I don't know, a couple inches up more so that some of those are more upstairs and out of the zone and we remove the heart of the plate. Still, that's a good sign. 76% strikes is great and only 1 hit allowed on 45 thrown. Thing is, he had 7 hits. So where do those come from? 5 of those came off of the slider and the curve. So those were over the plate a bit to right-handers, but they also were deadly. So either it was pretty much a swing and a miss or a hit or some rare called strikes. Lots of strikes with it. That's good, but he needs to get more accurate with those breaking balls. I don't think that Jack Leiter can really be Jack Leiter and consistent until we see the Blake Snell blueprint in play here, that he is made for it. He has a 4-seam that should soar upstairs. He has good movement on these pitches. It just needs to be low. 4-seamers need to be high. It's that simple. Against right-handers, 4-seamer command is more chaotic, a lot more chaotic. I should say very rarely upstairs. And there's still a lot of polish left to be added for Jack Leiter, so don't think you're out of the woods here. Be cautious starting him moving forward. And, oh, you're probably wondering right now, where does Jack Leiter start next? Well, it is at San Diego. That might be okay, and then it'll be at L.A., and then we'll see what happens after the All-Star break. That is the Angels, not the Dodgers. Yeah, I don't want to do it against the Padres. That'll be a questionable start. I think we're still in the haze of what we're going to get from Jack Leiter. Luis Castillo against Texas on the opposite side of Leiter there. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 7 hits, 2 walks, and 4 Ks. So what's going on? That's a 150 whip and only 4 strikeouts. He got no decision, but 1 earned run. So it's pretty much a dusty donut here. And the changeup with incredible precision. I mean, he was really good at locating this thing down and away to left-handers. Just 1 out of 17 whiffs despite that. And I think that kind of showcases, oh, right, this is not the changeup of old. The slider was not very good in this one. So what happened? 4-seamers were upstairs pretty well. And I'm glad that it got him through this, but I don't think that he's going to be able to do that for a long time. I think he's holding on by a thread. And Castillo is a clear sell for the second half, in my view. Stephen Pollack got a gold star, even though it was in Cincinnati against a poor lineup. Still, 5.2 innings, a 1 earned run, 3 hits, 1 walk, and 5 Ks. That's great. He had an RBI single in the 6th that got him pulled, which resulted in that Philly, that is close but no cigar. And the Phillies were notorious for this with Gabe Kapler getting pulled at 5.2 innings back in the day. Yeah, Pollack is a strike thrower-ish, pretty much a strike thrower who's hoping for Koufax to help, and he did here. This is not an arm you want to trust in fantasy. He also had much lower velocity, tick and a half, down to sub 93, and that's not cool. Nick Lodolo against the Padres, not his best game. 9 base runners, 1 earned run, 5 Ks, and 5.1 innings. And his four-seamer had a 49% strike rate, but the other stuff was fine. Changeup was good, the curve was good. A lot of these fastballs overall were down the middle a bit and out of the zone, bit of donut command with that four-seamer. It's cool to see that Lodolo does enough, and he's acting like a Holly. He's not as volatile as he used to be, and I think that's a really cool thing. But yeah, get that four-seamer back, please. That was just an off day for it. Eduardo Rodriguez continued his easy schedule with another productive outing of 5.1 innings, 1 earned run, 4 hits, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. And this was on a day when the changeup and slider returned 39% strikes between them. It was 41% on the slider and 39 on the changeup, and or 38.5, and threw more changeups and sliders. It was not a secondary game. It was really just four-seamers and cutters doing most of the work. But we'll take it. And now he gets the Royals next, and then the Padres, and then the Cardinals and Pirates possibly after the All-Star break. And that kind of seems fine to me. The Padres aren't destroying worlds, and Erod has the great defense behind him. The offense, I don't know where we stand on that right now without Corbin Carroll and Naylor hurt. It's really just Marte who's incredible right now, but I could be wrong about that. We'll get an update to the PLV projections of offenses later today. He didn't get the run support here because the unquantifiable Cal Quantrill had himself a good game of 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 3 hits, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. Yeah, what? He did a really good job staying away and down with his sinker, curve, and splitter against lefties, and his right-handed approach was just what? Not good. But props to Quantrill for that, I guess. Marcus Strowman pitched yesterday and actually went 5 innings. We'll talk about that one with Spencer Strider showcasing a lot of red flags, and Chris Bubich is doing well. And there's a surprise guy in Colorado that somehow is surviving. We'll talk about all of that after this break. Marcus Strowman for the Yankees returned finally from injury. Got a win. 5 innings, 1 earned run, 3 hits, 2 walks, and 1 strikeout. How am I supposed to butter my bread with this? Gotta say, between Carlos Carrasco, Marcus Strowman, and Ryan Yarbrough pitching games and actually going 5 innings without more than 300 runs is pretty remarkable for the Yankees. It really has kept them afloat among a lot of random issues across this year. And so props to Strowman for doing this. It is not a good sinker. We'd like to think of Strowman having a great one. It is horizontal run of 8 to 9 inches. And if you think about like good sinkers from the right side, it's like 17 inches, 18 of run. So he's not really getting much of that. And then the vert, that is a drop really on this. You want to see like 2 to be like, oh yeah. Like you see 4 and it's like, okay, that's above average. But like, I'm not going to be saying that this is an incredible, unbelievable sinker. And that's what he gets right now. Nah, I'm good. 89 mile per hour velocity without run and just that kind of sink. That feels like a meatball a lot of the time. So yeah, Marcus Strowman, do not go after this. 74 pitches too. So he's able to get through 5 on that with 4 whiffs and 18% CSW. My gosh, Koufax, you are a kind soul. I mean, it was against the Athletics on the road, so a little bit easier, but still. Mike Burroughs against the Mets, 4.1 innings, 1 earned run, 4 hits, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts, 10 whiffs, 30% CSW, 67 pitches. I don't think he has a good approach against right-handers because it's actually not so bad with lefties getting four-seamers and changeups, but righties, the breaking stuff is just not good. It's not enough. And he almost made it through 5, but he allowed a solo shot in the 5th inning, and they pulled him after that. I imagine if you had a clean inning, it would have been a possible win. As Frankie Montas didn't do well, but we got to him later. Jonathan Cannon came back from the IL. 3 innings, 1 earned run, 3 hits, 3 walks, and 4 Ks. We did not expect him to go very long, and honestly, about 70 pitches is better than expected. Also, the changeups looked really good, but everything else wasn't good, so fine. Jonathan Cannon, sorry, we do not want to do this, and we will hopefully play the 1812 overture once again soon. Spencer Strider, oh my gosh, we got to talk about this. When against the Phillies, 7 innings, 200 runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. And he's at 96 miles per hour with 14 inches of vert. 14. He's supposed to be 17 to 18 inches of vert on this four-seamer. 14 is terrible. 14% CSW on that heater. No surprise there. 1 out of 51 whiffs on Spencer Strider's four-seamer. Think about this. This is Strider. This is supposed to be like one of the best four-seamers. He still has not gotten it back. I don't know what's going on. He had less vert on it last time, and it's even worse now. Now, the Phillies still struggle to square it up. It essentially turned those whiffs into foul balls, so not fully balls in play. But man, I'm scared. And that's why you see 3 walks, because those are longer at bats. You also see a slider that it's still good. It's getting those whiffs for the most part. I mean, you have 1 whiff on his four-seamer, so you have 10 total. There you go. You got some with curveballs too. But man, this is weird Spencer Strider. I'm still selling, guys. Herman Marquez against the Brewers. I know it's weird, but 2 earned runs in 5.2 innings away from Coors. And he has a 3.17 ERA in this game, and he had a 2.63 ERA across his previous 7 games. What? Right? The curveball has been the CSW darling. And even though it did have a good 30% plus mark here, it was a poor 52% strike rate. But he's hosting the White Sox and Coors next. No, you can't do Herman Marquez. You can't do it. The curve is getting worse. You can't do it. No. Chris Bubich against the Dodgers survived. 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 5 Ks. Love it. That's great. You got a loss because whatever. But that's pretty cool. He's up to 92 again, the heater. It's not declining down to 91 anymore. That's good. 46% CSW on it. Just 1 hit on 33 thrown. Love to see it. This is really good for obvious reasons. And what is really interesting is that the changeup that Bubich has had a ton this year was not good. 0 whiffs on 16 thrown. He also allowed a home run on it. And man, it just isn't the one that we normally see from him. To see that he actually did this without that best pitch is pretty cool. That four-seamer, I know it sounds strange at 92, but like it does enough. It has good extension on it. It has some decent vert. Like has a decent enough attack angle. Like I see how it works from the left side. Those numbers can perform better. You have Cal Quantrill against the Arizona Diamondbacks. I already talked about that. So what am I doing right now? You have Jameson Taillon against the Astros. 4.2 innings of 200 runs, 5 hits, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. And honestly, he almost got out of the 5th with this one. His very last pitch was a cutter up to Altuve. That was a 2-run shot. And that was it. And that was the 107th pitch, right, with 2 outs. So he wants that one back. But overall, the cutters and sweepers were far better in this one against the right-handed lineup of the Astros. I was worried about it because he hasn't had the sweeper working for him for a fair number of starts at this point. We didn't see much against lefties, and that's really a big question as he gets the Cardinals, because the curve and change did this really good Blake Snell blueprint before with four-seamers upstairs. I didn't really see the four-seamer upstairs, but I saw the curve and change up generally be okay against lefties in the rare times he threw against them. So that's something to note, but as far as the sweeper and cutter go, that is fixed. So I feel encouraged about this for Taillon. That was a big thing held over him for a bit, and that's in the past. That's very good. I feel cool with Taillon against the Cardinals next. Jack Kahanowitz. How do you spell Jack Kahanowitz? With 2 Ks. 4 innings, 2 earned runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, and 2 Ks. It's one of my favorite jokes. If you have 2 Ks or 1, you get Kahanowitz with 1 K. Okay, fine. 48% strikes on his sinker. Yeah, no, you can't do that. Four-seamer had 50% strikes. Yeah, okay. Don't do Jack Kahanowitz now, guys, at all. Logan Allen gave you a quality start. It was a near poor quality start. He said it was a poor quality. Well, it wasn't, because it was 8 base runners, not 9. With 6 Ks. He had a really good flat attack angle, 1.6 high adjusted VA, but the four-seamer isn't getting up, but it still performed well, and everything else was fine. I mean, the changeup was located decently well, but it wasn't really actually that productive. I don't think that Logan Allen is very good, guys. I think this was him just getting fortunate against the Cardinals. And even if you're not in a quality start league, that's a bad ERA of 4.5. That is a bad whip of 1.33 and 6 Ks without a win. It's actually a loss. Like, it's not enough. Mitchell Parker against the Angels. He's trying to go Blake Snell blueprint with a four-seamer curve, but he wasn't able to execute it properly and wasn't a good start. Okay, so don't go after Mitchell Parker. 300 runs, 6 hits, 3 walks, 3 Ks, and 5. You have Chris Paddock against the Tigers. This is interesting. because he went 4.2 innings of 300 runs, 6 hits, 0 walks, and 3 Ks in 91 pitches. And when you see an efficiency like that, the first thought is, okay, is he walking a lot of guys? But he's not. 0 walks. So why is this a high pitch count? Well, then you should think it's foul balls, because it was. And this was a product of his four-seamer losing vert, over 2 inches less vert. So whiffs that would have come from the 95 mile per hour fastball. Yes, 95 on Chris Paddock, not 94. 95, something I've been waiting all year for. I saw a glimpse of it in the spring, and then he fell down to 94 in season, and that's cool, but it can't be 16 and a half of vert. You got to be like 18 to 19. And so 14 over 43 foul balls with just 4 whiffs, that's the story of the game. Changeups did not return the normal number of strikes, even though he threw a lot of really good ones down, and actually the 2 home runs he allowed were on hung changeups in 3-2 counts. The only 2 hung changeups the entire game. So I think he actually pitched pretty well. The slider and the curve did its job. It was like a 55 to 60% strike rate for both of those against right-handers. Not a single hit allowed. That's good enough. It's just get that vert back. I mean, you got the velocity. Now you got to get the vert back. Oh, man. Pretty annoying there for Chris Paddock. I think you're okay with the next one, but I don't know what we're going to get from him at this point. It's just back and forth, but it is the Rays and then the Pirates. I think that's cool. Eric Lauer, yeah, you didn't do well in Fenway, because I don't really know how you've been getting a 15% swing strike rate on your four-seamer thus far. I feel like that's just not going to hold. Walker Buehler on the other side, you shouldn't be starting Buehler. We've just broken down the house so we can rebuild it. It's not going to be built overnight, okay? All right, we got to take some time here. Taj Bradley shouldn't be on your teams. 5.1 innings of 5 runs, 9 base runners. Just don't do it unless you really need to get strikeouts on a desperate Sunday, but don't go for that. Frankie Montas against the Pirates. 4 innings, 600 runs, 7 hits, 1 walk, and 5 Ks. He got bamboozled. And whenever I say that, it's an early first or second inning of just tons of runs in 1 inning. And yeah, he allowed 5 in the first with 2 outs. Ugh. Single home run. Done. This was a tick down on the fastball after seeing 96 last time, with 97 at times to 95. It's expected. 6 over 15 whiffs on the splitter is cool, but he's in a void against the Yankees. I mean, it's just, Montas hasn't really been a great ad for a long time. There was a nice stretch for a moment last year. We shouldn't expect this to return against the Yankees. And then Severino, speaking of which, he faced the Yankees and was a former Yankee. And this was a revenge game, 3.2 innings of 600 runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, and 3 Ks. But he wasn't good, and you shouldn't be going after Luis Severino. You know this. The stuff is just not that great. And he also has to deal with Sacraverde a lot of the time. Just don't. And it's kind of hilarious that Nightingale put out a whole thing that the Athletics are trying to shop Severino for 2 reasons. One, I mean, you're not going to get too much. I understand a team needing some volume somewhere, and they'll just get Severino and whatever, and just get through games so they're not going through poor prospects, or you don't have to do bullpen games, etc. Fine. Maybe like the Padres or something. But the only reason Severino is an Athletic is because they offered him this 3-year, $60+ million deal so that they would have a payroll of $105 million, which would be enough for them to receive their $70 million of revenue share pool. In other words, the Athletics have Severino and gave him this contract because they wouldn't have gotten other money, more money, for not doing it. And now that they've gotten that money, they're trading him away. And they want to. That is just... Sell the team. Sell the team. I hate this so much. Stop treating this thing that we love so much like it's nothing more than a profit chart. Okay? Please. I beg you. Please. The fans deserve better. They really do. No one should show up to these games anymore. No one should support this team in the slightest. It's an atrocity. All right. That is it for today. Sorry to leave it on that note, but it's just, I feel like we have to completely just boycott it completely. And just ignore this team in full unless they're on the road. But that's it. So my name is Nick Pollack, and may your BABIPs be low and your strikeouts high.